Yeah, I got her autograph about, Jesus, about 18 years ago.
Yeah. Man, why couldn't she fall in love?
You know what the funny thing was? I was in line, right? Yeah, I looked different back then, too. I'm in line, I'm like, you ever notice when a chick is like, she got a surfboard ass, and you're like, oh. And she noticed me doing it. And I guess I wasn't, you know, and she got bummed out a little bit, you know? Like, yeah.
You're listening to 1490 WBCB and on your FM dial at 107.
Headset. Might help. Is there a way to turn this up?
I've got a feeling you've been very busy lately.
Very busy. Very busy.
I promised the listeners that we talk about what the heat, and now this is, come Sunday, will be the third heat wave we're having.
Oh, yeah.
If you get, what's a list of things that people might not know that the heat is doing to their vehicle? I mean, you have newer vehicles, but then again, you have nature. Nature rules everything.
Yeah. Well, this kind of heat, if you got plastic fenders, they might melt. So, no, I'm kidding. Getting a lot of AC work, which is usually what happens on these big heat waves. What we see mostly is it takes a while for these cars to heat up. The AC system might be perfectly fine. It's so hot, and if your car's closed up for any amount of time, it's going to take a little bit for it to cool off. I mean, even with my Yukon, everything in my system is all new. I turned my air on the way over here from my shop to here, which is about maybe a mile and a half, and it just started to get cold. I mean, it was blowing cold, but the temperature inside the passenger compartment was still warm. So it takes a little bit. So you got to be a little patient with it during these extreme heat waves. But it'll get there as long as everything's good. But yeah, we've had all kinds of air conditioning issues. Everything blowing out. Last night I have one being towed in now where I guess the thermostat's stuck, and with the extreme heat, it didn't take too long to get up there. She had to sit and idling in her driveway, and it overheated. So I told her, don't drive it, just bring it over here. Yes, because she's coming from Marsville. Yeah, that's a lot of the biggest things. The other things we've been seeing is tire pressure lights coming on because of overinflation. People are coming in, they're like, my tire light's on. And we always talk about how it goes down in the cold weather. But in hot weather, it'll get extremely. If you put it to the max of that temperature sensor and you start driving and you pick up 6 or 8, 10 PSI, it's going to kick that light back on. So, you know, for being high, out of range, or one tire being higher than the other. So there's a lot you can see with the heat going on.
But you'll never extract any air, though.
I'll let it out. I'd let it out if I was them, you know, just to get it back down to in the parameter, because a lot of people put them right on the max. We're seeing like the range might say 36 on the door jamb, but the tire will say 44. People have set it up to 44 because they're trying to save gas. But the thing is, if you set it at 44 and you're driving from here to Pittsburgh on a 105-degree day, that thing's going to heat up from going down the road that long, and that might end up being 55, 60 psi before too long. And it can cause a problem. So
absolutely, I remember back in the days. This is going way back where, well, if we had a situation like this where we had days and days of heat, I had an old 1980 Olds. I got it in 1988, and I remember several times it just couldn't take the heat.
Yes, there was probably something going on because those big old Oldsmobiles are pretty resilient. So you might have had blockage somewhere in the system. Might not have been fully blocked, but it might have been like maybe some sediment in the engine block, because that used to happen to those big old Oldsmobiles and Chevys and stuff. And it would restrict the flow going through the radiator, so it wouldn't be able to, the fan wouldn't be able to do its job to keep it cool. So.
And I guess it comes down to the thermostat too. That when that breaks,
thermostat, the same thing. If it sticks closed, it's going to create a blockage in your cooling system. So that'll overheat, because it'll just not let it flow, not let it go across the radiator, not let it get that air coming across there, not letting the fan do the job, because that coolant is just sitting in there and just getting hotter and hotter and hotter. The other thing that you get is if it sticks open. Well, it's not so much in the older days, with the carburetors and stuff. A little bit with the carburetors, but mostly with fuel injection. If they stick open and it reads cold, colder than it should be, even though that sounds unimaginable today or this week, it'll throw the fuel injection off, send more fuel, because it's telling you the engine's colder, and it'll cause you fuel mileage, cause you oxygen sensor problems, stuff like that. Kick the check engine light on. So there's it's got to be operating mode all the time.
With vehicles 5 to 10 years old, do you see many of those vehicles overheating?
No, not. I mean, I wouldn't pigeon it down to 5 years. I'm probably older than 5 years. Cars are pretty resilient. They have a lot of fail safes, I'm going to say, in there, and so that it's like if it does stick closed, which actually I don't think they even make thermostats that stick closed anymore. They usually just fail open, and it'll bring your check engine light on. There is other ways of kicking the fan on. The electric fan, because a lot of them are electric. Back in the old days, we had a water pump driven fan off the fan belt, and but now we have the electric fans, and if it reads any kind of anomaly in the computer, it'll kick the fan on and default and run. So you don't get that overheat as much as you used to.
And that dreaded when you're looking at your gauge there and you're seeing it go up to the middle,
Yeah,
and then going,
yeah.
What is? I mean, I guess it could happen. Maybe there's a hose that needs to be replaced, or it breaks.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, if you're losing antifreeze, or like I said, if you have a blockage or something, or a water pump goes bad, it's not pushing it through. In the off occasion that the thermostat does stick closed, that all restricted. That's when you start seeing it. I'm not going to blame it totally on the outside temperature, even though it's as hot as it is. That's not going to be the main reason why you overheat. It's still hot, but if you're overheating, you have a problem inside your engine or your cooling system. So it's not really the outside temperature. It doesn't help, but it's not the main reason why that's going to happen.
And if someone's encountering that as they're driving down the road or through their neighborhood, and they know their car is overheating, what should they do? Almost immediately.
Shut it off. Shut it off, and don't check your coolant when the engine's hot, because it will blow off like a geyser, and it will scald you, because when it's overheating, that coolant or water, which you really should never use water anymore, the coolant in there is, if it's boiling, that means it's probably at like 265 degrees, and that'll take your skin off and no problem. Back in the old days, we used to get them, they'd run around 230, 235. That would still take your skin off. So, never open it until it cools down, because when there's heat, there's pressure. So let it off, shut it off, let the coolant system cool back down and lose that pressure, and then you should be fine. Then bring it over so we can check it out, or have it towed in.
What is the danger if someone goes, I think I can make it 2 more miles? What can happen to under the hood?
Under the hood, if you're overheating, the worst case scenario, one of the worst case scenarios, is a head gasket. You blow a head gasket, and that's what separates your cylinder head from your engine block. And there's never supposed to be any coolant in that getting into your combustion chamber. So that's what the gasket's there for. And if it overheats and it warps the head or cracks the head, you'll lose that gasket, and then the antifreeze will get down into the combustion chamber and smoke and overheat and cause you all kinds of problems, potentially even, especially nowadays, engine damage, because that antifreeze will wash past the rings, piston rings, get down into the oil, mix in with the oil, and that's where your connecting rods and stuff on, main bearings, the the pump of your car, and that'll wipe out a bearing, and then you lose all your pressures, and then all kinds of problems.
Like heart surgery on your engine. And,
Yeah.
I guess
Sometimes
that
it's
could mean mean a new engine, right?
Yes, it could be in a new engine. Some people take it to the extremes. Even nowadays, if you let's say it's Subaru, because they lose a lot of head gaskets. That's a pretty common problem with those. That can cost you about $3,500, just for the whole job. That's if it doesn't crack a head, because most of the times when I get a Subaru apart for a head gasket, we will find a cracked head, because that's just the way they were designed. They can't take the heat, so they get out the kitchen and they get out of the car.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, it's at some point, when the engine is so taxed by a situation like this, the car will just ultimately shut off.
Yeah, first you'll see it'll overheat, and then it'll start pinging because the timing's retarding itself because it's so hot, and then you'll start losing power, and then all of a sudden it just quits.
And when it quits at that point, could there be damage to the engine?
Yes, there very well could be damage to the engine. You do not want that. So, anytime it goes up above into the red, or anything like that, just give us a call. Get it in. We'll check it out.
I guess the same thing can be said for, back in the day when we saw the engine light come on. You have that kind of situation where the engine light comes on, but yet your gauge is not hot.
Right. I mean, your check engine light come on for literally thousands of things. So you don't want to ignore your check engine light either. I had a car in yesterday where I told him his check engine light was on, so we checked it out. I told him it was the evaporative system that goes from the gas cap over to it had a leak in the system. He's like, all right, well, I'm going to take it down to North Carolina. I'm like, well, all right. I mean, this won't bother you going to North Carolina, but if something else happens with your check within the vehicle, that check engine light will never tell you again because it's already on. So he's like, well, I'll take my chances. I said, okay, well, we'll see. Hopefully you get there and back, but that's all it is. But,
What was the latest?
yeah, I mean, because, if the check engine light's on for that silly little evap system, and then he's driving down to North Carolina, and say it overheats or say anything happens, really anything happens, you'll never know because the check engine light only comes on once. And it blankets everything.
I mean, it really is amazing with the cars that we have now that can really take this heat,
Yeah, they've a lot of them are aluminum now. So engine blocks, heads, aluminum are an alloy. So they dissipate the heat pretty good. The old days we used to have cast iron, which dissipated. It was harder to get hot, but they didn't dissipate as quickly as the aluminum. And then we had some genius engineers and all of the manufacturers come up with like an aluminum head on a cast iron block. and there's two different heat ratios, and they just, the aluminum will cool off faster than the cast iron, and then we would lose in head gaskets like crazy back in the 80s when they were coming up with that. It seemed like Dad and I were doing head gaskets all the time, especially on GMs, because they came up with the aluminum head on a cast iron block. So that was it. In their infinite wisdom, they had a lot of extra blocks, from other years.
Right.
So instead of they had to come up with something new, something to decrease weight and decrease the temperature. So instead of that, they went ahead. Oh, we'll use up all these blocks and put aluminum heads on it. And yeah.
You brought up the air conditioning. I mean, the other day I think whatever day it was this week, where it was, it was ridiculous out there. As Johnny Carson said, I saw a sparrow pick up a worm with an oven glove.
Yeah.
Well, when I left here, I got on 413 to get on 95 to go back to the Northeast. My air did not feel cool until I was getting on 95.
That is a byproduct of this heat wave. So, yeah, I mean, probably once it got cool, it got nice. It was working properly.
Right.
It just takes a while to get there. Like I said, I live a mile from my shop. I turn it on. Just I'm pulling into my lot. It's starting to get cool. Just when I left there to come here, it was starting to get cool. And I know my system is totally perfect. So it's just a the way the heat wave, one thing that does help, silly as it sounds, and I've been using it, and I was never a big proponent of it, but I have been the last couple of years, is those big sunshades you put in the windshield. Because those windshields are like magnifying glasses. And it's, unless you want to be a burnt ant sitting in your driver's seat, I've been putting it in there, and I'm going to tell you, putting that sunshade in mine like I did yesterday, I bet you the inside of my passenger compartment was 20 degrees, 25 degrees cooler than it would have been if I didn't have that. So it's not a bad thing for, $10, $15. You can get them off Amazon. You can get silly ones that look like sunglasses. I got the American flag. But anything, anything stupid. You just put it in there and it blocks some of that sun. It really does make a difference.
Does it go right across the whole windshield?
Yeah, right across the whole windshield.
I've seen them before.
Yeah. Some of them, mine's getting a little wore out, so now I have to put my sun visors down to hold it in there tight. But a lot of them are pretty rigid, and they just unfold and put it in there. So, I mean, that's our PSA for today.
Maybe we should get one. Yeah. Get a bunch made up. Fletcher's Garage.
I was thinking about that. I actually was one of my
nice
ideas.
Promotional thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. This heat wave sponsored by Fletcher's Garage.
I tried to get it going here, but it didn't. Yeah.
Let's see what I'm going to come up with a design. Maybe I could do that. You can come up with anything nowadays on the internet.
Well, I think it's a great idea, Fred, because I've been putting I have a WBCB rain jacket that I fold up. Mm-hmm. I have another baseball hat I put on there, and the other day, I guess it was Monday or Tuesday, even after I took that off, it was still hot.
Yeah.
So.
Well, also, a good thing with those sunshades, what they do is, we've seen them a lot with Dodge trucks, not so much with the newer ones. Maybe a couple years down the road we will. Chevys, once in a while I'll see a Ford. This extreme heat will warp your plastic dashboard, the dash panel across there, and you'll see like where the airbag goes. It's all twisted up, and it looks like crap. So that will also help you with that. Keeps the heat off the dashboard. If you did a surface check on that dashboard without one of those sunshades on there, I bet you're talking about 150, 160.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just, I got into my car, I think, again, Monday or Tuesday it wasn't, it said 97. I mean, I know that's the temperature outside, but it felt almost like that inside the car. And now when you have one of those shields in your car, what are they made of? Like
they're like a foil, reflective.
Right.
You can get almost anything. Some are just cardboard.
Cardboard, yeah, right.
Anything that keeps that out of there, keeps the sun out of there.
Now, how will that make your steering wheel less?
Yes, that'll make the steering wheel less hot. All that, because the other day I stopped somewhere and it was in some place for about an hour. I think it was Home Depot. I got back out and I grabbed my steering wheel. It's like I had to use my fingertips because it was so hot until I got the air conditioner to cool the steering wheel down a little bit, enough to grab. So there's a lot of detriments going on here. I was watching the news yesterday where somebody left a dog in the car for an hour and it was 160 something degrees in there. I'm like, so the cops busted the window. Obviously, if I saw it, I'd bust the window.
Jeez, did they save the pet?
They saved the dog. Yes.
Thank goodness.
But I can't believe how stupid people can be with that. Actually, I saw something online too. This is really ridiculous. It was out on ABC News, so this isn't like just something that comes out. This was on ABC News that they were recommending to people that drive to put something important in the back seat of their car so they don't forget their kids.
Oh man!
Now think about what I just said. Because people do, they forget their kids in their car.
It's I've carried out some interviews with local law enforcement just to get the, people might say, well, why would you run a story like that? And it's because of what you just said. I mean, people do it.
Yeah, people are stupid. Some people are stupid.
I mean,
like, what the hell can you put more important in your back seat than your kids?
I mean, even the risk of someone coming along and going, hey, I think I'm going to take this vehicle. It's running and there's a kid in the back seat. I'll just take him for a ride.
Just take your kid out. There's a kid back there.
9:18 here at WBCB. You're listening to Under the Hood with Fred Fletcher, owner of Fletcher's Garage. Don't forget, coming up at the bottom of the hour, it is the Need for Speed with Fred. We're going to come right back after this reminder.
Is there a way to turn this up? Because I can't hear anything.
You can't hear anything?
Nah. I mean, very, very faint when you turn that off.
All right.
Usually there's a box over here.
Yeah, I just want to put a couple of commercials in here.
Okay.
That's 215-295-4931 or visit Fletcher's Garage.
Yeah, we can actually get started early on the Need for Speed too if we run out of shit. We got sponsors and everything on this one.
93% of Pennsylvania
Need for Speed?
Yeah. Car crash while could have survived.
Well, yeah, the ones that I'm going to talk about. Then they're actually going to call in.
It's the difference
you hear anything?
At home to your loved
It's a little better.
or not
a little better?
At home at all.
There you go.
All
right.
Thank you.
Cool.
No, it was just turned around. I'm used to seeing the knobs on this side and I can adjust.
You say you had sponsors?
Yeah, just the racetracks. A couple of the racetracks are paying for this show.
Are we playing an ad?
No,
Okay.
no, we're just doing it live. And then they're actually going to call in at 9:30 something.
Okay.
Relax on the route.
You read it live? Or?
Yeah, I'll read it live.
Okay, you got it. Okay.
Yeah, I got it.
And then there's just the open here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Also stock up on beer, soda, cigar, snacks, and a variety of convenience items. Call 215-295-8236 to place your order or have them host your next party or affair. Get out
Here
and
comes
enjoy
Bill.
the summer weather
Hi, Bill.
today.
Hi, everybody. Reasonable. Thank you.
Curious for art, antiques, collectibles, or household contents or work? Listen
Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Friday mornings for What's It Worth with Mike the Appraiser.
Okay.
Right here on 1490
Thank you very
WBCB.
much. Thank you.
Join Phillies announcer Dan Baker and former Phillies
That's good. I can use that for a news story.
This and
in the
every
Shield.
Monday
Yeah.
from 6 to 7 p.m. for the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session. Listen each and every week as Dan is joined by a different
Another
Phillies
question
guest
on the air.
and break down this year's season and see if they can once again hold that World Series trophy. It's the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session live from Chickies and Pete's.
You're talking about inspections and stuff.
1490
.921 here at WBCB. We're at 77 right now on our way to 92. So not as hot in the previous days, Fred.
Yes, thank God.
Yes, I mean, but people really have to, I guess be on the lookout for certain things like we've been talking about air conditioning. What's the telltale sign? I mean, we talked about how long it takes for it really to get cool, but what's the telltale sign of there's something wrong?
If it's blowing a hot air out of your system. I had one yesterday. It was weird. We're checking it out right now. A customer came in and she said my air conditioning quit working. So I said, all right, let me go out there. And I don't know. It looks like it's blowing out 48 degrees here, so that feels pretty good. And she goes, oh man, maybe I hit something or something. I said, I don't know, but let me take it for a ride. So I took it out for a ride, and as soon as I got off the lot, I stepped on the gas. It just quit. It started blowing hot air. And then then I'm sitting at the light over by the YMCA, and I'm like, please, light change, because I was pumped because I didn't want to turn it off. I wanted to see if it would come back. So it was like pushing out 90. And I had my thermometer, and I was pushing out like 97 out of the vent. I'm like, but once I got running again, it got halfway down the block, hot, and then all of a sudden it went real cold. So she's got something sticking in there, like a valve or something like that. So my guys are checking it out right now. But yeah, if it's blowing out hot air, that is number one telltale sign. Number two is it can make your car overheat if it's not working right. And works conversely too. If your cooling system's not working correctly, the air conditioner will affect the air conditioner because that antifreeze that's going through the radiator. There's what's called a condenser, AC condenser, in front of that radiator on most cars, and if that radiator is supposed to be running at around 212 and it's running 235, 236, 265, that's heating up that condenser too. So it's not letting the gas pass through that to turn back into a liquid. And then your air conditioner, your high pressure will shut everything off because that'll build up high pressure. And then the high pressure switch cuts things off as a failsafe. And then your air conditioner quits too. Or it just won't work not as well as it should.
So you can have enough of the substance in there, but there could be another problem.
Yes, could be like I said, the cooling problem. If it's got a blockage or it's not working correctly, water pump's not pushing through.
How often does that happen?
Not as often anymore as it used to, which is good. So
usually what you just run out of the.
Yeah, yeah. Usually when the water pump goes bad, it's just you'll lose the coolant. But usually, like with the air conditioning, it's sometimes most of the time you'll end up with a leak. We'll find a leak in the system. They are exposed to the elements. A lot of people say, "Well, this thing's only 4 or 5 years old." I know it's aluminum, but it does oxidize. There is a temperature change between there, and it's constantly fluctuating. So that does take a toll on the metal. It does take a toll on the gaskets, the rubber seals, and stuff like that. Compressor, especially if it gets hot, because a lot of the vanes that are working in a compressor, depending on which compressor you have, are made out of the plastic. I'm not going to say alloy, plastic something, and they get hot and they can melt, or they can just warp and not work as well as they should. They can get sticky in there, and there's a lot of things we find. So
My car is obviously a Camry. It's 2016. I don't believe I've had a reboot with the the coolant stuff.
okay,
So
like a flush, or
yeah, how often does a car need that?
not as much as we used to, because of the changes in the chemicals that are in the coolants, compounds in there, less corrosive. They don't break down as much. They will break down. A lot of the stuff that we're using nowadays are the last 5 years or 7 years. It used to be 2-3 years. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of it. It handles the temperatures a lot better. I wouldn't flush it anymore. I see some of the dealers and stuff like that try to push it at 25,000-30,000. I would go closer to probably 80 to 100,000 before I would do it.
Very good.
So, and we do monitor it when we do oil changes on everybody's car. So it's constantly being checked every 3,000 to 5,000 miles, depending on what oil you have. When you come in, we're checking. We're saying, oh, the antifreeze is still good. And it's not, there's no sediment in the system. It's got good protection. Keep on going, but around between 80 and 100,000, I'll recommend it. If you don't want it, that's no big deal, unless it's a problem, unless I see a problem.
But other than that, don't let someone pull the wool over you.
Don't let anybody try to change it at 12,000 miles. They do that with transmissions too, and it's like, no, go 80 to 100,000 miles. I see it. Even the owner's manuals are telling people to go 75, 80,000 miles before having their transmission serviced. And people are taking them into other places, and they're finding out, and they're like, oh, they're telling me I got 28,000, I need a trans service. No, you don't, unless you have a problem.
Is that kind of an unethical thing
Yes.
that people are doing? Okay.
Yes.
They're putting it lightly there.
Yeah, they're probably making people mad out there. Some people.
Well, no, I mean, it's good to get the
what
information.
it is,
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
good.
care.
No, it's good to get the information out to folks so they can be, somewhat educated on it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're talking about having your car, having it flush a whole thing, what's that usually go for?
Depending on how much is in the system, I'm going to say on average, a coolant flush is running between, with coolant and everything, about 165, 175. We have some heavy trucks that get in there to 250 to 3. But yeah, figure like 165, 175.
Yeah, it's a total. Most people, I believe, you probably think are glad to pay that.
Yeah, that's better. If you break it down, say your car's got 5 years on the coolant, break down 175 in 5 years for $35 a year. It's extra added protection, and you don't have to worry about it. And there is lubricating qualities in the coolants nowadays that keep the water pump bearings lubricated, and the heat dissipates the heat off because some of them are ceramic bearings in there, so definitely keeps them lubricated, keeps everything working, keeps the impellers going, and saves your life on the water pump. And yesterday, somebody came in with an estimate for a water pump on a 3.5 Ford Edge, and they brought it in for my second opinion, and it was like $2,700 for a water pump.
Wow.
I said, well, they're throwing in time and chains and everything as well. I wouldn't evaluate the time and chains till I got it apart. But I'd have to see. I want to verify before, because she's not having any issues. They just told her she needed a water pump. So I'm not saying that she does or doesn't yet. But
What was that price again for the water pump?
$2,700. Yeah, $2,700.
Is that what a water pump costs?
It can, if you're doing all that extra work. If the car needs the time and chains, actuators, stuff like that, it can.
It's a lot of work. Then,
It's
right?
a lot of work. Ford did something stupid by putting the water pump in the middle of the engine, so you have to tear it all the way down. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it used to be the water pumps were out front. Now they're like inside the engine. It's like stupid Ford engineer.
No.
So now I made Ford man too. Good.
9:28 here at WBCB. This is a wealth of information this morning that will be spread out for news stories.
Oh, good.
How's that sound?
Yeah, use me,
All right.
Joe.
It's 9:29 now. We're going to come right back. When we come back, it is the need for speed. Stick and stay.
We gathered real Pennsylvania seniors and asked them how they
Now,
would
will
benefit
people
from
be
an
calling
extra
in?
$1,000.
Okay.
Here's what they have to say.
You may have to continue talking.
Okay.
You know how I answer the phone back there when Jim's here?
My groceries, heating costs.
Medication.
There. Usually it's Earl. There's a couple other guys.
Earl, Nick. Mark's not going to call.
We
got
adults with disabilities
one guy who's never called before, and we got the owners or the directors of New Egypt Speedway calling to tell us what's going on.
Former Phillies pitcher Tommy
So
Green.
that's we got to get her in here. So I'm going to introduce the show as Need for Speed brought to you.
Yeah, you just, I don't participate in this.
Okay.
Do I or no? Don't I?
No, well, you can make
All right.
interjections if you want.
All right. I just want to make sure that
You
it was all smooth on this.
your alerts by going to BCWSA.
Jim's having a colonoscopy today.
They did that a couple months ago.
BCWSA,
Did you really?
your partner for a safer environment.
Easy thing.
BCWSA, prove it.
Good morning, race fans, and welcome to York,
Who is that?
Pennsylvania.
Chuck Schaefer.
Okay. Earl seems like a nice guy.
Oh yeah, Earl's a great guy.
When do you come in?
Anytime.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that now. Yeah, there's Chuck. Hi, Chuck. I know he's listening to that. I had his car
That's
yesterday.
pretty good. Huh?
Yeah, it fits right in there.
Pretty catchy.
Yeah. So that whole CD's pretty good. But yeah, if you get a chance, check out Chuck Schaefer. Well, welcome to Need for Speed. We're looking. This is going to be a very special show coming up. We're expecting a lot of phone calls. And this show is brought to you by New Egypt Speedway, and they got a lot going on this week. That's my show. That's my track where I go almost weekly, and it's down in obviously New Egypt. That's why it's named New Egypt, and it's over on the Route 539. So you cruise through Allentown and Cream Ridge, and there on the left-hand side before you get to Lakehurst. There's the New Egypt Speedway. Every Saturday night, they have their normal shows, including this Saturday night. Is regular show is modifieds, the 602 crate sportsman, street stocks, and 4-cylinders. That's usually what they have. Once in a while they'll throw in a new Northeast wingless sprints or sprint cars, Mid Atlantic Sprint Series. They'll all join it. It's a cool little track. It's a 1/3 mile. It's like a D shape, and like I said, they're sponsoring the show. I really appreciate them coming on board with us this week. Hopefully we can get some people involved and down into get their butts in the seats down there. And also on Tuesday, which I will be going to too, even though they say the temperature's supposed to be like 94 again. I'm still going to go because it's going to be later at night. It's Tuesday night. It's called the Garden State Gunfight, and it's in honor of John Schmidlin. And he was around for a long, long time. Number 747, hard to forget that number. And so that's going to be the modifieds and the 602 crate sportsman and the street stocks. And like I said, it's a great show. Adults, $30, seniors $25, military with your ID if you go down there is $20. Teens are $20. Kids under 11, like my grandkids, are free. And I don't know if I'll bring my grandson, but I'll see. It might be past his bedtime there. Actually, past my bedtime. But I'm going down because I want to be a part of this.
What time do you usually go to bed?
Around 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm up at 4:30 because I usually go to.
It's good you get that sleep though, because of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get sleep.
Sometimes. Yeah. I mean, how many racers are there? That particular?
For this one here, the Garden State Gunfight,
Yeah.
it is going to probably be 35, 40 modifieds down there, and it's a big purse. I mean, 7470. They threw the 747 in there. 7470 to win. I don't know what the rest of the purse is, but
7,000.
Yeah, $7,470. That's a good purse. Whoever wins that's going to be
It's
very
interesting. Where do a lot of the drivers come from? Are they all from around the region, or
Yeah,
some
a lot of
come
them-
pretty far?
Once in a while, like again, you get a special program like this, or one of the big 100 lappers or something like that, and they'll come from New England, a lot from Delaware, but mostly around here. It's South Jersey, north here of Pennsylvania, north here of Philadelphia, and you'll get a bunch. And it's just mostly around here though. So looks like we got a call. As soon as we figure it all out.
Yeah, it's interesting that I guess there's some folks that are just it's become a way of life for them.
Yes, a lot of people I see down there regularly. Used to be a way of life for me. Now it's maybe becoming that way again. But I enjoy going every week and seeing a lot of my friends down there, and a lot of race. I love watching the dirt track racing, and it's just a great time. When I want to encourage everybody to participate and go down there and just check it out. Check it out.
Right.
I mean, you'll be hooked. Hopefully, you'll be hooked. This weekend they're actually having a Saturday too. So if you want to just hit Saturday and not Tuesday, but I want to encourage everybody to go down on Tuesday.
What kind of crowds do you get down there usually?
We pretty full crowds.
Yeah.
We need more.
Right.
But because over the years the racing scene has kind of gone away. Maybe you can blame it on video games. People were doing it.
People
on
are
Grand
racing
Theft
in their
Auto.
house.
Yeah, the Wii.
We know one guy who's not playing video games lately, and that's Earl. Hey, Earl.
Hey, Earl. Hey, what's happening? Oh, nice. Yeah, I forgot NASCAR's going this weekend. I got so caught up in everything around here, I forgot all about NASCAR.
I'll tell you an interesting story, Fred and Earl. In 1990, when I was working with my brother's band, but the guy who ran our sound had, he did work for a lot of different people in sound. We took the entire cable from around the whole fence at Long Pond and put a new one up.
Wow, that's a heck of a job.
It was awful. We had a lot of fun up there, made a few bucks, but it was awful putting that wire up.
But yeah, I want to talk a little bit. I was down at Wall. We didn't have a show last week, but I was down the week before, and was with Earl. And what a time I had down there. It was me, my buddy Craig, and my buddy Mike. Earl calls them my pit crew, and we had a blast down there. What a track that is. That's asphalt down there, but not dirt. But there's nothing wrong with that. So it was a lot of great racing. Went with Earl through the pits, interviewed some drivers. Craig and I are putting a video. That's when I leave here. We're going over and we're going to finish putting the video together of our interviews and the racing and everything that we did. So, and I want to say how gracious Earl was to take us all around and let us in the pits and let us up in the control center, and just see how everything runs at Wall Stadium. So, Who are some of the names out there where you say, "Wow, that guy's a really good driver"? Well, and down at Wall, Earl can tell you better than I can, because that was my first time in about 35 years being down at Wall Stadium. And I don't know why it took me so long to get back, because I was just like, wow. I'm not trying to explain it or blow it up because you're on the phone, Earl, but I had a blast. Hmm. Yeah, he rubbed it in there. He's got my dream job.
When it comes to these races, do a lot of the guys, after a while, it becomes some kind of a skill to know when to accelerate or what,
Oh yeah, it comes with a lot comes with feel. So, but, yeah, tell us more about what's going on. What else goes on down at Wall? I'll just sit back and listen to you.
Well, this coming weekend, again, I won't be there this Saturday because I'll be up at Pocono and the announcing staff there. So this is one of the few weekends that I take off from Wall. But it's a regular show, and Saturday night all the regular divisions will be back. The modifieds will be running a regular 40-lap feature after the Garden State Classic 125 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And again, all of our regular Saturday night divisions will be there running 25-lap main events. And then 2 weeks from now, it's going to be a very special event. We're going to have super modified, the wing super modified.
Oh, nice, nice.
And on the high banks extremely fast.
Mm-hmm. All right, what's the date again? Okay. That's like August 1st or something. No, July 30th. Okay. I'm looking at the wrong thing anyway. So, yeah, so 27th. Yeah, so I'm looking at now I'm looking at the right calendar.
How long? I got a question. How long do the drivers in this circuit usually stay in this?
Well, if it's in your blood, some of these guys are my dad's age still running.
Really?
75, 80 years old. I heard Marty Resnick, and he's still running. Once in a while, he doesn't run regularly, but once in a while he gets out there and throws it down. He's probably in his late 70s.
And what are some of the younger ages? People in their late teens,
all the way down to 15.
Wow,
15 years old.
That's great.
Mm-hmm. So actually, a lot of the 15-year-olds and stuff, they'll run TQs, Earl. We've seen the quarters.
One of the neat things about a track like Wall Stadium, and New Egypt has it now too, the quarter midgets.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Wall Stadium.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, one name that comes to mind was is Jimmy Blewett's family. I mean, even James Blewett, he just actually won the race at New Egypt too, I think. But they're all from little kids all the way up. Billy Pouch's grandson is running too. Quarter midget.
I could be aging myself. Is Bridgeport still there?
Yeah, Bridgeport's still there. I go down there a couple times a year. So. But yeah, I'm going to tell you, Wall. The way that it's all set up and everything, it's a really good time. If you can get a chance to get down there, and it's down by the shore, so it's a couple degrees cooler. And it was a nice breeze that night. So,
how long is a typical race?
Well, it depends on the laps. The 125, it was going good until the last few, but because it was a lot of cautions bring cautions, and it got extended a little longer.
125 miles.
No. Then they don't. It's laps, not miles. Yeah. So no, it just it can go by time. By the time they clear the rack or get the cars off, get the debris off.
How does a driver typically feel after that? After 125 laps, pretty
Tired,
yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
I don't. Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah. Some of those cars get to be 160, 165 on the inside. So yeah, that'll wear on you. So
Yeah.
but yeah. So I want to say if anybody gets a chance to head down the wall, check with me. Earl, I need your email address, or if you have a Facebook page. I want to get some more information on the drivers that we talked to and you, and so we can put this all together. And,
What's the best way from, say, people in our area here, Levittown, Falls, Bristol, to
I cannot tell you how easy it is to get there from this area.
Okay.
195 East, get off at Route 34. I can't remember the exit. I know for you Jersey people, I'm sorry. You get off at 34 and you make a left, and it's probably not even a mile up on your left-hand side.
All right.
Then you got to take a jug handle because it's Jersey.
Because it's
And then you go.
You'll be learning how to drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but cool. We'll have fun in Pocono, Earl, and
Yeah, we're all having fun up there.
and I will be down there probably for the super modifieds. But I'll. Yep. Awesome. Thank you so much, Earl.
Okay, there goes Earl, and he's going up to Pocono.
for the big boys.
I haven't been up there in a while. Have you been up there lately?
Yeah, no, not lately.
Yeah.
93, I was up there. It's not one of my favorite tracks because it's so big.
Right.
You got to get there early and sit up top so you can see most of the whole track. Like Dover, if you get up hot towards the high, you can see the track.
Mm-hmm.
Pocono, it's so long and so big, and I'm not trying to down Pocono. If you want to go to Pocono, go ahead. You don't see a lot of. It's way out. It's like watching little tiny cars go across.
Okay.
But until when they come across the front stretch, then you're good.
We were up there, like I said, with a couple of guys I was with. Like one guy who had the contract, and we're putting this thing up, the cable around the fence, taking the old one down, putting one up. There happened to be, this is like early in the week, there happened to be a driving school, I guess, that rented out the track. And I thought working for a band was allowed.
No. Oh yeah,
These NASCAR vehicles were allowed. Yeah.
Oh, they're loud. Yeah, they're loud. All race cars are loud. There's no mufflers on them. But I do the driving school. Not a driving school. It's an experience called the Kenny Wallace Racing Experience, and I do that at New Egypt. And once again, I want to say what's going on in New Egypt here because they are sponsoring this show, and I really appreciate what they're doing. And hopefully, they can call in. They said they might be able to call in and give us more details on what's going on Saturday and the Garden State Gunfight, which is in honor of John Schmedlin. And we want to get people interested in racing and getting down to the track, and we want to make it cool, as cool as it once was.
Now,
some people might say it never changed, but I remember back in the heyday of the late 70s, early 80s, where like my whole neighborhood would empty out and go up to Flemington or East Windsor, and it's like all of our neighbors, all of our friends, all my family. It was great. There would be like 30 people up there, and we were allowed to park in the pits at Flemington, so we'd all hang on the back of my dad's truck. I was little, but they all used to hang up there and drink beer, and there'd actually be grills and stuff, and people cooking out and making a day of it, and it's fantastic.
That's a big thing up in Pocono. They do that.
Yeah, we did that for a weekend down in Dover, 4 days down in Dover.
Right.
But we were allowed on the infield because I think they thought my dad was a car owner because he just got a brand new motorhome, and it was like 40-something feet long. They're like, all right, wait for him. They left.
Now let me ask you something. With the bigger venues, I remember when I worked at a radio station for years down a news radio station in Wilmington. We extensively covered one of our stations in our cluster actually covered the race, broadcast the race live, and there'd be like, when you got down there, it was just packed. Is it still doing that up in Pocono?
Yeah, well, like I said, the last time I was in Pocono was 93, probably 94 from Dover.
Mm-hmm.
But 93, it took us 4 hours to get out of Pocono because there's only one road in and out at the time. I don't know if they've added anything. You get out on Route 115.
Yeah,
it's
there's that one road. Yeah,
they're trying to get to the turnpike from 115 was like 4 hours, and leaving Dover, after the race, and we're unpacking stuff up, and my dad's just like whipping out the grill and stuff, and I'm like, hey, aren't we leaving? He's like, we got hours before we get out of here. He goes, let all the traffic go, otherwise we're just going to be sitting in it. So let all the traffic go, and then we'll drive. It's the same amount of time.
It's the right move.
Yeah, so, and it was the right move.
Grill up some food, and now when it comes to New Egypt, is there like an area where you can get a hot dog or something?
Well, there's concessions down there. Yeah, one of these days when it's not so ungodly hot, I want to go down, and I'm taking my guys, my whole shop down, some of my friends, and we're going to tailgate down there. There's an area in the parking down in the far side where you can just hang out. I mean, I'm not going to be all day, but if we can go down about 3-4 hours early, hang out, shoot the bull, and have a couple of beers before we go in, and then we'll go in and have our sausage sandwiches and stuff. Cause, all these tracks have the best sausage
You got
sandwiches.
my attention now.
Yeah, so sausage, peppers, and onions. Oh yeah. Oh, I haven't had a bad one yet at any track. So
now, when you're watching one of these races at New Egypt, what are you looking for? As you're a real fan, I mean, you know the sport. What are you looking for? You're seeing what drivers are doing.
I have my favorite, some of my favorite drivers. Some of my friends I grew up with, John Scarpati Jr. I've known him since we were little tiny kids. Both our dads drove, and actually, John just posted on my Facebook page the car that my dad and I sponsored, his first car back in probably 81 or 82. And that was pretty cool because I actually forgot about that. But I go down in the pits and, we talk, and, a couple other drivers, and some of these are third generation guys. Like I'll see, like my dad was real close with Billy Osmond, who was one of the biggest names out there back in the day. Now his grandson's driving. His son even retired. I see all three generations hanging around the car, fixing the car, and I go over and talk to them, and trying to get Bill Sr. to remember me, but we'll see. But Stan Plosky, same family. I mean, the names from back in those days are like, now they're third generations, and so I follow a lot of that, and I do have some friends, like in the four cylinders. I got to be friends, with Dominic Antonelli. Thinking about sponsoring his car because it's already pink, so I'm going to want to put a flamingo in there. Hopefully he calls and he's listening. Sometimes he listens.
What would it say? Fletcher's Garage?
Fletcher's Garage.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's all, hopefully it blends in. But, I got real close with Nick Leach, the announcer down in New Egypt. We're actually going to have dinner tonight. And we're talking about we're doing some stuff outside the radio, and we're going to do some YouTube videos and some stuff to promote all the tracks around here. So we're really getting involved with the promotion of the tracks, trying to get people more involved, because it's a family thing. Like Dom Antonelli's family, I sit up high, they sit all down towards the bottom. When he's not racing, his whole family's down there, and then if he's not on the track, he's down there too. There's probably 15 people down there. The whole family are having lunch and dinner, and having a couple beers, and just enjoying themselves. And it's a cheap night out. Like you said, a lot of times they're like $25, $30 to get in, and they put on a heck of a show. Usually runs between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. So you're out of there. Sometimes now they're going to run the one on Tuesday at the racing begins at 7. So I'll probably, by the time I get done work, shower and all, I'll be close to 7 by the time I get there. But usually on the weekends I get there a little early because I like to stake my claim up top there, so where the shade is on the press box. Yeah. And but yeah, it's a big family day out, and inexpensive, and really something that people should. And it leaves memories. That's the biggest part. I'm here. I am 50-something years later from when my dad was really involved, and I still have the passion for it. I'm not driving, obviously. I do my Kenny Wallace racing experience twice a year, and I have a blast out on New Egypt. Oh, we got a caller somewhere. And so I do the Kenny Wallace racing experience. So I get some trackside views and seeing what the guys see when they are out there racing as well. And without all the other cars, I'm not running out there with 25 people. That would be just scary. So but I'm out there with 2 or 3 other guys. And,
looks like we got Nick on the line.
There we go. There's the man. There's Nick.
Hey, thanks. Glad to be here.
What's
Time is
happening,
going
Nick?
by fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, taking advantage of a break in the heat. Yeah, it's getting out there and mow some lawns. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, and I'm going to be there Tuesday with you, so we can cause some problems somewhere down there. There you go.
I'm guessing steak or filet mignon.
I don't know. We'll work on that. No, no,
Or
no.
the sausage sandwich.
Oh, sausage sandwich, definitely. Yeah. Yes, yes, I was very, very honored and glad that they're getting on board with us here. Hopefully, we're doing them right and they stick with us, and we can keep fans going in there and getting in the seats and having the experiences that we grew up with. So, mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. 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 Right. Yep. Right. Oh yeah, that's exactly right. So yeah, whenever I see that they're called because of the heat or rain, and then I see all the trolls underneath, and it's like, oh come on, give them a break. It's like it's not like it costs $15 to run this thing. It's no, right, no, yeah. And on the car side, I mean, if the track isn't at its optimum, or at least close to it, they're tearing up their cars, and you're out there breaking axles and stuff. Whatever you win's going right back to your car anyway, if you win anything. So you don't want to tear your stuff up. Right. Mm-hmm. No. Yep. I'm totally with that. So, yeah, I've been down to Bridgeport when about a month or so ago when it rained, and they tried their best to get it out there and get the track right. It rained early in the afternoon, but the track was so wet that when the drivers got together, they're like, we can't take our cars out there. We're just going to rip them up. And but I take Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Or tearing up their tearing up their $25,000 cars and so yeah. Well, we got the right answers here. So oh. Oh yeah. We got some time. I'm leaving here, and I'm going over to Craig's studio, and we're gonna, hook up the one I did for Wall, and then we're gonna start another one with New Egypt, and I'll get you involved with that as well. All right, Nick. See you tonight.
Thanks, Nick. All right.
So one more time before we're out of time here. I want to say, head down to New Egypt Speedway, either July 13th this Saturday. Depending on the weather. Well, go down there anyway, unless they call it. And on the Tuesday night is their big show that honors John Chemedlin, and that's the Garden State Gunfight. And it's going to be a big show. There's going to be some big names down there, big names in the racing world. And head on down to New Egypt and check us out on our Facebook or My America's Mechanic YouTube. And we got a lot of information, constantly feeding it out there. So everybody have a great week, and we'll do it again next weekend.
1490 WBCB and on your FM dial at 107.3 W297CL Levittown.
This is 8E News. I'm Rita Folway.
Good show.
We'll begin with the prices you pay.
The quickest hour of my week. Now, I wanted to ask you on the air, have you ever been at a show where you're like, a race, I'm sure you have, but, when you talk about skills and, the competitive edge, like a guy's lagging you behind, but then he wins the race. Like for most of the race, he's
some guys have strategies like that. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it just comes down to strategy.
Like usually, if you're going to lose, and then he's